Hello, grade 4. Last time we talked about the cell, especially plant cell, and we identify the components of plant cell. Today we will talk about the components of animal cell. We will check a ready-made slide of mouth lining membrane. We take small tissue from lining membrane inside your mouth and we examine it under the microscope, especially compound microscope, to maximize this cell to can identify the components of animal cell. We noted that the animal cell differed from the plant cell. The first component of animal cell is plasma membrane or cell membrane. It is the outer membrane of the animal cell. Do you remember in the plant cell, the outer membrane is a cell wall which gives the plant its definite shape because the plant has no bone, but the animal has bones which give the animal its definite shape. So the animal cell has no cell wall because it hasn't definite shape, or it has indefinite shape because the bones give the animal its definite shape. So the first part in the animal cell is plasma or a cell membrane. It is the outer membrane of the animal cell. The same function in the plant cell. The cell membrane function is what? It's like the gardener, which controls substance which enter or leave the cell. But the function of plasma membrane, it controls the substances that enter or leave the cell, and it surrounds the animal cell from outside. It means it surrounds the cytoplasm. The second component in animal cell is the cytoplasm. This is the cytoplasm. The same, it is a fluid or liquid that fills the cell from inside, where all the biological operation occurs in it. It is like the kitchen of the cell. It is the place for all biological operation to occur or to happen or to take place. Okay, biological operation we said before, like what? Like respiration, excretion, growth, and so on. After that, the third component of the animal cell, nucleus. The nucleus, it is like the brain of the cell. It organizes all biological operation, and also it responsible for a cell division. And in the animal cell, small and many vacuole, but in plant cell it's only one big sap vacuole to store the food, because the plant make their own food by photosynthesis process by green plastids, but animal cannot make their own food, so it doesn't have what? Sap vacuole. It has what? Small and many vacuoles. Small and many what? Vacuoles. Okay, and also the animal cell doesn't have what? Chloroplast or green plastids, because the animal cell cannot make their own food as plants. Let's repeat the component of animal cell again. The animal cell consists of plasma membrane, which surround the animal cell from outside, which controls the substance that enter or leave the cell. The second component is the cytoplasm. It is a fluid or liquid that fills the cell, where the cell components are suspended in it or float in it, and all the biological operation occurs in it. After that, the nucleus, it is the brain of the cell. It organizes all biological operation in the cell, and it's responsible for a cell division. Cell division, we said before, it means what? One cell divided into two cells. Each one of them divided into two cells and so on. And also animal cell has a small and many vacuole. Let's make a comparison between animal cell and plant cell. In this figure, we noted that first the cell wall. The cell wall, we can find it in which of them? Excellent, in the plant cell. It means it is present in the plant cell, but it's absent in the animal cell, because a plant cell has no bones, so it needs the cell wall to give it the definite shape. But the animal cell, the shape of the animal cell, it is what? Indefinite. يبقى animal cell has indefinite shape. Plant cell has definite shape. Give reasons. Because the animal cell has no cell wall, hasn't have a cell wall, but a plant cell has a cell wall. The second one is a cell membrane. We noted that the cell membrane or plasma membrane present in the animal cell and present in plant cell to control the substance which enter or leave the cell. Third component is the nucleus. It is present in the animal cell and plant cell. Why? Because it organizes all biological operation and it's responsible for a cell division. The vacuoles to store the food. We noted that in the animal cell it is present, but it is small and many. Small and many. But in the plant cell, it is a big sub-vacuole. Sometimes it's one sub-vacuole, sometimes it's two sub-vacuoles to store the food. So, the vacuoles present in animal cell, but it is small and many. In plant cell, it's a big sub-vacuole. Chloroplast, which is responsible for making food by absorbing the sunlight to make the photosynthesis process. The animal cell make the food? No. So, it's absent in the animal cell, but green plants absorb sunlight to make their own food, so it is present in the plant cell. It means what? Plant cell is characterized than the animal cell by having what? By having a cell wall and chloroplast. But plant cell and animal cell are similar in presence of what? Of plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. This is important part. The plant cell characterized than the animal cell by having a cell wall and chloroplast. A cell wall which gives the plant its definite shape, chloroplast which absorbs the sunlight to make the photosynthesis process. But both of them has what? Similar in having plasma membrane which controls the substance that enter or leaves the cell, cytoplasm which fills the cell and all the biological operation occurs in it, and the nucleus which organizes all biological operation and responsible for a cell division. Okay? We noted that the living organisms are classified according to the number of cells. It means what? Some living organism has more than one cell, as a human, as animal, as plant. Plants, animals, and humans have more than one cell. They have more than million cell and milliard cell. But there are some living organisms has only one cell. So they called unicellular organism. They called what? Unicellular organism. It means they have one cell as a yeast, fungus, and bacteria. Yeast, fungus, and bacteria. Bacteria and yeast, fungus, we cannot see them by the naked eye. We can see them under the microscope because they are very, very small. They only have one cell. But the multicellular organisms such as the human, animal, and plant, we can see them by naked eye because they have a lot of cells. They have more than one cell, or more than millions and milliards cells. Okay? We will identify the yeast, fungus as an example for the unicellular organisms. We examine the yeast, fungus, and under the microscope. It is a microorganism. Microorganism means it's a very, 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 very small organism. We cannot see it under the by naked eye. We can see it under the microscope. When we examine the yeast, fungus, we notice that it consists of the what? First, a cell wall. Cell wall which surround the yeast, fungus from outside to determine or to give it the cell shape, to give it a definite shape. يبقى yeast, fungus has a cell wall to give this fungus a definite shape, or which determine the cell shape. After a cell wall, there is a plasma membrane which controls the substance and which enter or leave the cell, and a big vacuole to store the food, and also it has nucleus to organize all biological operation because it only consists of only one cell. This one cell can respire, can grow, can feed, and make all properties of living organisms. So it has nucleus to organize all biological operation occurs in it, and it's responsible for a cell division. This yeast, fungus reproduce by a cell division. One yeast, fungus divided into two yeast, fungus. Each one of them divided into two, and so on. This is the reproduction of a yeast, fungus. And also it has a cytoplasm which fill the cell from inside, and all the components of the cell are suspended in it, and all biological operation occurs in it. The yeast, fungus has important or economic importance or uses. We use yeast, fungus in our daily life in making bread and making alcohol. يبقى we used yeast, fungus in making bread and making alcohol. Why we used yeast, fungus in making bread? Because it produces carbon dioxide gas, which causes the swelling of the bread and makes it porous and light. Yeast, fungus causes the swelling of bread and makes it porous and light. Porous, and it has a small spaces inside it to can eat it. This porous comes by carbon dioxide gas from yeast, fungus. So we add yeast, fungus in pastry making to produce carbon dioxide gas, which causes the swelling of bread and making it porous and light. First economic importance of the yeast, fungus is making bread. The second one is making alcohol. By adding yeast, fungus to a sugar solution. Sugar solution means liquid like water contains sugar. When we add the yeast, fungus to this sugary solution, it produces alcohol and carbon dioxide gas. So it is used in making also alcohol. يبقى there are two importance of yeast fungus in our life: making bread and making alcohol. Let's identify this by an activity. We make or we put molasses. Molasses, it's like honey, but it's black honey. This molasses contains a lot of sugar. We put yeast fungus in this molasses in a bottle and put the balloon at its top. We noted that the volume of the balloon increases. This increases occurs because yeast fungus produce carbon dioxide gas which blow the balloons. It means yeast fungus produces carbon dioxide gas when added to a sugary solution and alcohol. Okay, يبقى give reason yeast fungus is used in making bread because it produces carbon dioxide gas that causes swelling of bread and makes it porous and light. Okay, all unicellular living organisms around us, all of them useful or harmful? We said unicellular like bacteria. Bacteria around us, some of them useful and some of them harmful. يبقى it means some unicellular organisms are harmful. Like what? Like bacteria that causes a lot of diseases. And some of them useful, such as bacteria used in making yogurt, yogurt bacteria, and making some types of cheese, such as Grade4 cheese. In this case, this is a useful bacteria, useful unicellular organisms. But some bacteria are harmful, which causes a lot of diseases. Okay, try to answer the worksheet. Thank you. Goodbye.